Hi everyone, welcome to Train Forever. I'm Andrew Barr, and today we're answering the question, how many times per week should you work out? This video is intended for beginners or anybody who is relatively new, let's say in your first year of training or exercising consistently. I'll answer the question right away. If you're new to training, train 3 times per week. Not 6, definitely not 7, but 3. There is both a physiological and a behavioral justification for this, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. A big part of why training 3 times per week is optimal for a new lifter is that it can take 48 hours or even more to fully recover from a hard, high-quality training session. So if you're training 3 times per week, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that means that you're recovering from training essentially all the time. To understand why this is such an important detail, we need to remember that the goal of every training program, whether you want to lose fat, build muscle, get stronger, become a better athlete, or anything else, the goal of all training programs is the same thing, and that is to create physical adaptation or make the body change in some way. These adaptations or changes occur during recovery or the time following a training session. So if we're essentially always recovering from training, we are always improving and making progress towards our goals. There are 2 important qualifiers here. One is that recovery doesn't happen passively simply through the passage of time. If you stay up late and eat crap food, your adaptations are going to be compromised. Restful sleep, lots of water, adequate protein, lots of veggies. These are the things that are going to help drive recovery and help you get the most out of all of your training sessions. Second is that not all training sessions are created equal. If you're following an old school bro split or doing some of these nonsensical routines that you see on Instagram sometimes, these things aren't going to create a training effect that necessitates that 48-hour or more recovery window. You have to train, and that means doing a quality warm-up and then either doing some power work or some heavy barbell work or some high volume work depending on your training goal. It's better to push yourself and need the recovery than it is to do more frequent, lower quality training sessions. If you're finding this content useful and informative, go ahead and give me a like and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another training tip. I'll be putting out a new video each week to help you get the most out of your training sessions. Next, let's talk about the behavioral piece, which is actually even more important. Something that I've seen a lot as a trainer is I'll sit down with somebody for our first appointment together, and this will be somebody who has not up until that point been exercising, or at least not exercising consistently. And now they're motivated and they want to start. And I ask them how many times per week they'd like to work out, and they say 7 or every single day. And I get where that comes from. You're motivated and you want to get after it and you want to see results, and that's great. But to really get the most out of sticking to a training routine, we have to play the long game. Let's take a step back and really examine the situation. There's a reason that you haven't been exercising every day up until that point. You're not a professional athlete, and life happens. Life gets in the way. The main issue with training or setting out to attempt to train every single day per week is that when you inevitably miss a day because things come up, you've failed by the standard that you've set for yourself. And there's nothing quite as demotivating as that. And then when that happens, you give up. Training 3 times per week gives you the flexibility to make up for a missed training session if you're sick or get stuck late at work or any other number of things that can and do happen. Leave a comment and let me know if you agree or disagree, or if you just have a question about training. I'll answer every one. The idea of wanting to train every day is something that sounds cool, but it's not really based on good training practices. Setting out to train every single day is favoring one variable, frequency, over other important variables like intensity. A good training program finds a balance between these variables. It makes sense that a beginner or a newcomer to training would set out to want to train every single day because it seems like it's the best that you can do, but that's just not the case. This is not to say that you can't do something every day. There are other things that you can do that keep you connected to your goals that aren't hard training. You can go for a walk, ride your bike, play a sport, go for a hike. You can meditate. You can make sure you drink lots of water. You can read a book about training. You can go to bed early. There are things that you can do that keep you connected to your goals that aren't just hard training. Some of you may be wondering, but not everybody trains 3 times per week, right? Don't some people do more? Absolutely. And there are 2 main categories of people who do train more often than 3 times per week. One is beginners or relative beginners who are perhaps mistakenly prioritizing frequency over other training variables. And we already covered that this is not optimal. The second category is more advanced lifters or athletes who have done two important things. The first is that they have already been training consistently for a while. They've adapted to training 3 times per week, and increasing frequency is a viable option for them to pursue additional physical adaptation and change. The second, and even more important piece of the puzzle, is that these people have made training a consistent part of their lives. And that is what really has to happen before it makes sense to look at training 4 or 5 or 6 times per week. If you're really serious about getting results from your training, you're going to be in the game for a long time. There's no sense rushing into it. Take your time establishing the habits that support regular training before you look to commit to training close to every day. I'll leave you with one more thought. Training 3 times per week just doesn't sound like enough to some people. But consider this. Training 3 times per week consistently for a year is 156 workouts per year. Doesn't that sound like enough to make progress? And how many times did you train last year? If it's less than 100, 156 this next year would be a massive increase. And I guarantee, as long as you have other pieces of the puzzle in place, it would be enough to make significant progress. My training programs, Strength Training Essentials and Strength at Home, are built in part on this idea of training 3 times per week. And they will give you the knowledge that you need to train for best results, plus provide a fully detailed, comprehensive 12-week training program to follow. If you head to the description, you can find a link to get your copy of either program today. I hope you thought this video was useful, and if you did, please give me a like and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another training tip. I'll be putting out a new video each week to help you get the most out of your training sessions. If you head to the description, you can get your free copy of my Guide to Core Strength, and you can get a copy of Strength Training Essentials or Strength at Home, and you can learn more about my online coaching as well. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.